Yo, what is up, guys? Ethan here, back in another video, and today we have the ACC Team Rankings from worst to best. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and also like the video. I would really appreciate it. So this is the last conference for our Power 5 Team Rankings. After this video, I'm going to take a little break on the team rankings, maybe a week or two. And then we're going to get right back into it as we're going to start with the American and Mountain West. Now, after the Mountain West and the American, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the rest of the conferences. I already have the team rankings and already have the thumbnail made. All I have to do is make the graphics, and I'm only going to do that if you guys are really going to want that. So, in the comment section below, do you guys want me to make the so it would be the Sun Belt, the Conference USA, and the MAC. Would you guys really want to watch that? I just wanted to make videos that you guys would like. So yeah, just leave me in the let me know in the comments section below. So yeah, without any more interruptions, let's get straight into the ACC team rankings. And of course, the first team that we have in the ACC is going to be Clemson, as they have the best offense and the best defense. This is mainly because of superstar quarterback Trevor Lawrence, one of the best college football quarterbacks we have seen in a long time. As last year was his sophomore year, he had well over 3,500 yards, 36 touchdowns. Now, he did start off really slow, throwing a lot of interceptions, but that second half of the year, he really got things started. As we know, they lost in the national championship to LSU, which LSU was phenomenal last year. So that really wasn't a bad loss. But I really think this year they're going to be really focused on that running game as they return their top two running backs in Travis Etienne and Lynn J. Dixon. Travis Etienne had 1,600 yards and 19 rushing touchdowns. This dude's just phenomenal. And then Lynn J. Dixon, very good backup running back, as I've seen people saying he's going to be a third-round running back in this upcoming draft, which I really don't see. But the big thing about this team is the loss of superstar wide receiver Justin Ross, as he was supposed to return for his junior season. So big-time wide receivers are going to have to step up, like Amari Rodgers, Frank Ladson, and Joseph Najida. That defense did lose a lot of stars, including superstar Isaiah Simmons at linebackers. So that linebacking core is going to be a little iffy. You return your best defensive player in Xavier Thomas. So that's going to be something to look out for. But I really don't have to go over this Clemson team that much, as a lot of people already know what they have done. So from this point forward, the ACC is super hard to rank. Like, there's some teams at number 2 that could potentially be at number 6 for the rankings wise. I think a lot of people can agree that North Carolina is the second best team, as they have the second offense and the 5th defense. Now, personally, for the teams, I didn't have a problem ranking them, but for like the offense and the defense, super hard to rank, as a lot of these teams are neck and neck. But I decided to go with the second best offense for North Carolina, mainly because of how well Sam Howell did in his true freshman year, having well over 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. And a lot of people consider him to be already the third best quarterback in college football. I don't see him as a top 3, maybe a top 5, but this dude is special. You do return your returning rush leader, Michael Carter, as he had 1,000 yards last year. Only had 3 touchdowns, but he was great as he returns for his senior year. This wide receiver core is going to be something to look out for. You have Daz Newsome returning for his senior year, and Dynami Brown, as he had over 1,000 yards last year, as he returns for his junior season. Those two are going to be dynamic. And I'm not going to say one of the most underrated wide receiver duos, but maybe one of the best, definitely in the ACC, maybe of all of college football. But the defense is actually really underrated. Chaz Surratt returns for his senior year as a linebacker, as he had 6.5 sacks last year for that defense. And yeah, this defense is very well rounded, and North Carolina, you have Mack Brown, one of the best coaches in all of college football, in my opinion. I think this North Carolina team is a guaranteed lock as a top 3 team, and I think they're going to be the second best team. Now, like I said, Clemson, North Carolina, a lot of people have them, but 3, 4, 5, and 6, super tough to rank. But I decided to go with Virginia Tech at number 3 as they have the 4th offense and the 4th defense. And I will be 100% honest, I really haven't watched a lot of Virginia Tech games for this last season. But your best player by far is going to be cornerback Caleb Farley, as he returns for his junior year, as he had 4 interceptions last year, and also had a pick 6 as he had a defensive touchdown. But this offense is definitely going to be the key thing that we have to look out for. This offense is going to be, we really don't know what to expect from this offense. Hendon Hooker returns as your quarterback. He had 1,500 yards last year and 13 touchdowns. He's definitely going to have to improve if he wants to be good for his junior season. But he also led the team in rushing, as he had 356, my bad. But the wide receiver core is a little iffy. It's a little on the lower side for the ACC. So this team is definitely going to be a quarterback running heavy offense. But like I said, this defense is definitely the powerhouse of this team, even though they both have the same ranking. Now, even though I think their defense is the best part of this team, you did lose longtime defensive coordinator Bud Foster, as he recently retired. So, this defense, I definitely think it's actually going to be improved, but it's definitely going to take a while for these players to learn the new system, as Justin Hamilton is your new defensive coordinator. And the 4th best team I have in the ACC for this upcoming year will be the Miami Hurricanes, as they have the 5th best offense and the 2nd best defense. And this Miami team, they have the talent, but we just need to see if the team chemistry and the coaching is going to be there for this year. Manny Diaz returns as your coach after having somewhat of a disappointing year in 2019, as he did go 6-7. You have a brand new offensive coordinator, and both your defensive coordinators are also returning back for their 2nd year. By far, your main thing on this team is your defense, as I think you have the 2nd best defense in the entire ACC. And according to some, they were even number 1 over Clemson. So, even though I think Clemson's is better, they have definitely a top 3 defense guaranteed. And you probably have one, if not the best edge rusher in all of college football, and that's Gregory Rousseau. By the way, he was on the thumbnail. This dude was phenomenal last year, as his redshirt freshman year had over 15 sacks. This dude's just going to be electric. You also have Quincy Roche, as he is a grad transfer from Temple. So, you have phenomenal defensive ends, probably the best defensive end duo in all of college football. Your defense, besides that, you're definitely going to have some holes to figure out, especially that linebacker, because you did lose your top linebacker in Shaq Quarterman. But besides that, this defense is going to be phenomenal in the ACC. But this offense is going to be a huge question mark. Even though I love the transfer, as you have a new QB in De'Ara King, grad transfer from Houston, in which I was a big fan of, I'm not sure if this offense is going to work. Like I said, you have a brand new offensive coordinator, and I'm not sure if Manny Diaz is going to be ready for this offense. Cameron Harris returns for his junior year, and yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be good either. I think he's actually a tad overrated, but I really haven't watched that much Miami games. The wide receiver core, it's not the best, but definitely underrated. I'm actually a big fan of Mark Pope, their junior wide receiver, but yeah, this Miami team has a lot of expectations and a lot of talent. We just need to see if Manny Diaz is ready to get all his talent and put it together to have a winning season next year. The next team I have is Pittsburgh, and you have the 6th offense and the 3rd defense, and I love this Pittsburgh defense, one of the most underrated defenses in all of college football. If you watch my last video, my favorite player is going to be Paris Ford. He's my favorite safety in all of college football, a super hard hitter. Yeah, he led the team in tackles and interceptions last year. Paris Ford is super underrated. So, and then you have Jalen Twyman, the defensive tackle, who people are already comparing to the great Aaron Donald. I don't think he's going to be as good as Aaron Donald, but geez, Twyman is definitely a top 4, maybe top 5 defensive tackle in college football. This defense is stacked, and yeah, but the downfall on this team is the offense. Kenny Pickett returns for his senior year, and I think he's actually going to be well over expectations last year. Last year, he had a little over 3,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. I think he's actually going to be even better. Maybe not stat-wise, but as a player, I think Kenny Pickett's going to actually have a really good year for Pittsburgh. Your running game is going to be a little questionable. You did get 4-star running back Israel, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It will be on the screen. He's a 3 or 4-star, depending on what website. And then also you have AJ Davis returning for his senior year. But this wide receiver core, I really don't see it. Besides Tyzir Mack, as he is a returning starter based off last year. But besides that, I really don't know who is your top player on offense besides, of course, Kenny Pickett. That's definitely something that Pittsburgh's definitely going to have to develop. But this defense, by far, is definitely going to carry this Pittsburgh team. And I'm a big fan of this Pittsburgh team going into next season. At number 6, we have the Louisville Cardinals. And a lot of people may say this is too low. I actually think this is a perfect position as a team ranking. They have the 3rd best offense and the 11th best defense. And even though everyone says Louisville is way better, defense is a key thing for this team, or any team in general. And their defense was actually one of the worst in the ACC last year. I could be mistaken. They were the worst in team defense last year. Now, they're not dead last this year, because I do think Scott Satterfield is definitely going to improve this defense. And I'm actually a really big fan of Scott Satterfield, and I'm actually a big believer. Also, I think the majority of the defense is going to improve, so yeah. But there's really nothing to really talk about in this defense. So, yeah, besides Monty Montgomery having 5 sacks, nothing. So, the main thing on this team is the offense, by far. And their key player is, there's actually 2 players that you can say. I think it's Tutu Atwell, the slot receiver, as he returns for his junior year, as he had well over 1,000 yards last year. But your running back core is just great. You have Javion Hawkins as he returns for his sophomore year, as he had well over 1,000 yards last year and 9 touchdowns. And Hassan Hall, really great backup running back, as Louisville may have one of the best running back duos in college football. Well, in the ACC at least. And then you have I'm going to say Mikael Cunningham. I could say his name wrong. He returns for his junior year. And yeah, he didn't play all the games. He had 12. But really good quarterback, as he's one of the top in the ACC, having a little over 2,000 yards and 22 passing touchdowns. This offense is definitely going to be electric, but due to the defense, they're at number 6. At number 7, we have the Florida State Seminoles. They have the 7th ranked offense and the 6th ranked defense. And I actually like this Florida State team. I think it's going to definitely take a year or 2 for them to be actual contenders in the ACC, but I'm actually a big fan. Mike Norvell comes in from his first year, and I was a huge fan of him at Memphis, as Memphis was probably one of my favorite teams last year. The quarterback situation is really iffy, though. James Blackman, I'm actually not a big fan of him at all. I don't think he's going to be I don't think he is quality starter quarterback level. But the rest of this offense, it's a little iffy. Your wide receiver and Tamorian Terry, great wide receiver. Very underrated, actually. 6'4", very physical wide receiver. He returns for his junior year. Probably is the best offensive player. But I do think, even though I'm not a big fan of this offense at least, it's definitely better than other teams like Wake Forest and Duke. Then this defense they have tons of stars. And yeah, first, probably the best defensive tackle in all of college football, Marvin Wilson, as he decided to come back to Florida State and play for his senior season. And then your secondary is actually really good. Hakeem Dent, who had a really good year last year, he comes back for his sophomore year. Asante Samuel Jr., great season last year as well. He returns for his junior year. Hamza Nazardine, he returns for his senior year at safety. That big three in the secondary, maybe, I'm not going to say they are the best, but definitely a top 4 secondary in the ACC. So I really like this Florida State team, but I don't think they're going to be top level ready. Number 8, we have the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And yeah, this team has definitely taken a fall off. I was a big fan of Wake Forest last year. I knew they were going to be great last year. Not great, but good. And yeah, my favorite player on that team, Jamie Newman, transferred to Georgia. A good move by him. But this Wake Forest football team is now, let's just say, not as good. Your best player is Sid Shrant, wide receiver, as he returns for his junior season. As last year he had exactly 1,001 yards and 11 touchdowns. And he only did that in 9 games. He did get hurt. He was destroying the wide receivers. And probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in all of college football. And then your second best player is Carlos Basham Jr. He had 11 sacks last year in 13 games. Really great defensive end. He's probably going to be one of the top defensive ends going into this upcoming draft. So yeah, it's definitely a debate on who's the best player because they have 2 phenomenal players on this team. But besides those 2 great players, this team is really, it's not good. My bad. Your quarterback situation is definitely going to get improved. My bad. Sam Hartman, he's returning for his sophomore year. I don't really know. He played 4 games. He had 830 yards and 4 touchdowns. It could have been worse, yes. But I do think Sam Hartman is just going to be an average quarterback in the ACC. And your running back situation is not really good. Your leading rusher last year was Kenneth Walker III. He returns for his sophomore year. He only had 500 yards. I don't think they're going to be doing that much in the rushing offense. But I do think your offense is actually better than your defense. But yeah, because besides Carlos Basham, your defense is really nothing. You do have one of the best kickers in college football in Nick Scriba, but this Wake Forest team is definitely going to be, I'm not even sure if they're going to be bowl eligible. And at number 9, we have the Duke Blue Devils. And even though Duke is at number 9, I can definitely see this team actually doing better, as I think this Duke team is actually underrated. Your best player on the team is going to be Chris Rumph III. Now, I looked at the Street and Smith's magazine. He's not even a starter. I don't know what went wrong in their head because he's probably the best player on the team. I really don't know. But your defense is actually better than your offense by actually a long shot. Victor Demontre, I'm not good with names. I already told you this in the past videos. He's a great defensive end. He's come back for his senior year. Probably one of the most underrated edge duos in college football right here at Duke. But besides those 2, I really don't watch Duke games because unless you're a Duke fan, who really does? So yeah, I actually am a really big fan of David Cutcliffe though as the coach. Even though he has a below 500 record at Duke, he's actually a really good coach. And this offense, it's probably your best player is probably going to be Chase Bryce as he returns for his junior year. I'm actually a really big believer in him as I think he is actually underrated in the ACC. But yeah, I really don't know that much about this Duke team, but I do think Duke can actually be better than this, and it's mainly going to be because of that defense. Now let's go on to the number 10 team. And yeah, so I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker on the rest of the teams. Number 10, we have Boston College. They have the 10th offense and the 10th defense. And I'm actually a really big believer in Jeff Hafley, as he's going to be the first-year coach. And that's one thing about Boston College that may bring them down a little bit. Their coaching, they have a brand new staff, brand new head coach, brand new offensive and defensive coordinator. definitely going to get a few things out of the way. You also lost your top quarterback in Anthony Brown as he decided to transfer to Oregon. I'm not sure if that was the best move. But you also lost your best player on the team last year, A.J. Dillon. But I'm actually a really big believer in your running game. David Bailey, I'm actually a really big fan of him, as he's probably going to be a breakout candidate in the ACC for this upcoming year. But yeah, besides him, you always have a good offensive line, but your receiving core is not really good. So yeah, your defense though, I'll be honest, I really don't know that much about the defense, but just looking based off the statistics and the players they lost, I think 10's actually a really good spot for this defense. At number 11, we have Syracuse, and people would actually think this team should be lower, and I actually don't think so. They have the 11th offense and the 7th defense. Your defense was actually really good, and people would say Virginia is better. We'll get to Virginia in a few minutes, but this Syracuse team, I actually think is actually better than Virginia. And that's mainly because of safety Andre Cisco. Phenomenal safety. And a lot of teams really don't, well, the general fan of college football really doesn't know his name. He's going to be great in the NFL and probably a top 5, top 7 safety in all of college football. And just for that individual player alone, that has raised your defense a lot. But your offense, it's just a little iffy. I don't know why I say actually that much. I actually really like Tommy DeVito as your quarterback. And even though he really didn't do as good as people thought last year, I think he's going to come back and play really good for this upcoming year. And yeah, but even though besides I think DeVito is going to have a great year, your offense is really not that special, so I'll rank them at 11. Now this is probably the most shocking team in the video. We have the Virginia Cavaliers at number 12, as they have the 13th offense and 11th defense. And I really don't buy the hype on this team. You lost your superstar quarterback in Bryce Perkins, as I was a really big fan of him. You lost him. This team's not going to be as good. You made You made the Orange Bowl last year. I'm not even sure if you're going to make a bowl game this year. Now, I do think overall-wise, I think Virginia will have a better record than Syracuse and Boston College, mainly because of Bronco Mendenhall. I actually like him as a coach, and your schedule is a little bit favorable, let's just say, even though you have a tough game versus Georgia. But team-wise, I don't think Virginia is better than Syracuse and Boston College. Brendan Armstrong, I do think he's going to be a good quarterback, but I think he's a little overhyped, I would say. Your defense is only better than your offense, mainly because of linebacker Charles Snowden, as he was actually a really good linebacker last year. He returns for his senior year, a linebacker to watch out for upcoming this season. But besides those two individual players, it's a mix of I really don't know the players, and you just lost all this talent. I really don't think you're going to regain that, as I have Virginia at 12. Now, we go on to number 13 and 14, which you don't see a graphic for. And this could actually be a flip-flop. A lot of people say Georgia Tech is by far the worst team. I really don't think so. At number 13, we have NC State. They have the 14th offense and the 12th defense. And then we have Georgia Tech dead last. They have the 12th offense and the 14th defense. Now, this NC State team, it's only higher because their coaching experience and that defense a little bit. But that offense of Georgia Tech, it's just so close in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of NC State this year. I'm also not a big fan of Georgia Tech. But there's one player individual that made me decide on NC State going higher and Georgia Tech going lower. Georgia Tech's running back Jordan Mason. A lot of people think he's going to have a breakout year, and I actually don't think he is. Well, I think he's going to do good, but he's definitely getting overhyped. And the coaching at NC State is way better than Georgia Tech's, so I decided to give this slight bump to NC State. But if you had NC State at dead last and Georgia Tech 13, I would not argue. I'm not a big fan of these teams, and like I said, I really don't watch these teams, so yeah, it was definitely really hard to choose, so I decided to go with that. So that is it for my ACC team rankings. In the comment section below, what team do you think is overrated and what team do you think is underrated? So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.